Many of us in the 29 years that Howard had been going to Belize had heard about the mission there, and maybe even some of you had gone with them. But we in Christ Church, as we began, as Pastor Ed said around 9 or 10 months ago, to be engaged in the idea of building a community center in Belize, came closer to that mission. As we began to support with our generous donations, we became closer to that mission. Here at Christ Church in the past year, about 25% of our mission budget indeed has gone to support that. And it's been joined with literally thousands of dollars that have come from outside of our faith community and outside of our faith family to be channeled there. That money, as Howard said, has been partnered with donations from David Jose and others. And the reality of that is coming to fruition. A physical presence in that community that will last a lifetime. Tammy and I thought we were going to Belize. Indeed, we were going to a family reunion. We were in Belize a very short time, hopped in a rental van, drove the road up to San Victor, got out of the van, and we were part of Howard's family reunion. As people in that community came to embrace him, to come to tell stories of the work that they had done together, as we began to see the physical evidence in the lives and the smiles and the buildings in that community. Specifically, the community center that's being built will serve a very important role in that community. First of all, it has brought, in the midst of a pandemic that has wreaked financial havoc through that entire region, resources and employment. The picture that you're looking up here is the foundation. Now, Howard talked a little bit about digging a foundation and how arduous a task that is in that region, because we were there in August and it was 100 degrees and 100% humidity. That foundation could have been done one of two ways. It could have been dug with a backhoe by one backhoe operator in about an afternoon. Or it could be dug by employing people within the community, within that village, to dig it over about a 6-day period of time. The cost is about the same. This was dug by hand. Now, Howard talks about the beauty of the people. Come on now, is that not a beautiful foundation? There are no skid tracks around it. There aren't piles of cast-off refuse. We got there, drove up to the site where this was being built and saw this foundation and met the people who were digging it with pride. The next slide that you'll see will show the basic construction of the community center that is being built. The construction is a concrete pier structure with concrete block infill. The floor that you see there is poured concrete. The ceiling over this floor is poured concrete. That is the floor for the second floor of the building as well. I go into that much detail about the work because it is very important for the function of this, because this community center, in addition to many, many other opportunities it will provide that Tammy will talk about, will serve as a hurricane shelter for the folks in this village. In Howard's first or second slide, you saw some of the construction that people live in there, and they're beautiful, well-kept structures, but they're not hurricane safe. Over the 9 months that this construction has taken place, since that first picture was taken in August when we were there, until you see in this last picture, you can see now that it is a 2-story building. You can see that it sits on a bluff overlooking the village, which is a beautiful location. It is accessible to both floors, as Howard said, fully accessible. It will have indoor plumbing. It will have electricity. It will have many of the amenities that folks do not enjoy in other places and other houses within the village. You are part of this. Your spirit is there. This is not the kind of construction project that we go down and hammer nails or pour concrete. This is the kind of project that we are engaging and partnering with the people to support them as they build it, as it keeps building resources in the community and provides a wonderful building.
So, what makes for a successful community center? Because it's more than bricks and mortar, isn't it? It's how it's structured, it's what happens there, it's how people provide the oversight and the direction of it. So we wanted to do this right. We want to make sure that it's put together in such a way that is sustainable. And so what we've done is worked with the local folks there to help create a nonprofit that is recognized by the Belize government. And that nonprofit is called the San Victor Community Development and Conservation Support Group. And it will have a board of directors that will provide the oversight and direction over time for the programming that will probably happen in phases. The mission of the nonprofit is to promote community development, but most importantly, the empowerment, cohesive sense of community, and overall well-being of the residents of San Victor Village, Corozal District, Belize. And the really great thing about this project, if you haven't already seen this, is the tremendous community support that it's enjoying. I want to introduce you to Amarilli Tech. She is one of the people that have been very involved in the work with Howard and with some of the work that's been happening in the village prior to having the building there. She is what I would call an informal community leader. She knows what's going on in the village. She can bring people together. She's been teaching a sewing class for years. Not only that teaches skills to the women in the village, which it's a very traditional village, and many of the women are at home with the children, but she's teaching them sewing skills, and she's also worked out a way to bring contracts to the women so that they can make school bags and school uniforms to help with the economy within the village. So she's very entrepreneurial, very much committed to the life of the women and all the villagers there. So that community involvement is very important right from the very beginning. Not only have the people been building the center, but they're engaged in the programming even before the building starts. So what is going to happen there that's going to change people's lives? And by the way, she made that dress that she's wearing. And the day her son was married, she made the bride's wedding dress and her son's pants. In addition to planning a wedding. So anybody who's planned a wedding knows what a great feat that is. So she is a remarkable woman, and she will be the president of the nonprofit that's going to be overseeing this. So what's going to be happening there? So Ken talked to you a little bit about the layout of the building. So that first floor is really all going to be about fellowship and gathering, bringing people together. There's not a lot of spaces within that village. Howard showed you a picture of a typical house there. There's not a lot of space. So not only will it be a severe weather shelter, because they have a lot of tropical storms happening all the time, but that big room on the first floor will be for celebrations. There are so many things that happen in people's lives, baptisms, weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, where people need a place to gather and a place that's basically sheltered from some of the weather there. And this is a picture of the celebration that we were lucky enough to be a part of. So they had to rent the tent, they had to bring in the plastic chairs and tables, everything had to be brought in. And about 30 minutes before the wedding started, a huge storm blew in and blew everything out. But with the new community center, that won't happen. So that will also be a way to bring some dollars in to help with the operations of the center, because we'll be able to rent that space out. So on that first floor, there will be that really nice room for fellowship, and in that room, there will be a life-size statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is a very important figure in the life of the residents there, to keep people focused on spirituality and love of God and love for each other. There will also be a small kitchen, some bathrooms, and then a one-room apartment on the first floor for a caretaker and his family who will be able to live there, provide security for the building, cleanliness, and perhaps some other things. So that's the first floor. The second floor is really going to be all about education and empowerment and opportunity. The second floor is going to have the women's the Women's Empowerment Center, which will be run by Amarilli. Her sewing class will happen there. But in addition to the sewing, she also brings in a lot of community education for the women. She works very closely with the Red Cross that's there in Corzall. So she'll be able to do all kinds of things, from things related to parenting to things involved with education and employment. We're also going to have a computer education center. So the computer center will be critically important, not only for the adults who may be looking for work or learning new skills on the computer, but for the children. Because just like here, during COVID, they all had to stay home. Well, guess how many homes had a computer in this village? Yeah. So this will be a way to make sure that the children have access to the technology that they need. Could you pull up the last slide, Ed? Yeah, there they are. Aren't they cute? So there's lots and lots of children in the village, and they're just so eager to learn. So the Computer Education Center will be open after school, and will be supervised, and we'll have homework, help for the children there, as well as then the help for the adults. And then we're also going to have, Howard mentioned the mayor's office is going to be on that second floor. We're also going to have a thrift store, a community thrift store with clothing and toys and household goods that we hope is fueled by donations, which will also help in the sustainability of the center. And next to the Women's Empowerment Center, we're going to have a small, I'm going to call it like a preschool classroom, but a children's classroom, because the women have to bring their children with them when they come for the sewing classes or any of the community education classes. And that'll give the women an opportunity for the children to interact with each other and maybe learn some things through a little preschool education. So you've also seen then the grounds around the center, which are beautiful and will be able to provide any kind of larger community celebration. And I think everybody there is going to be committed to doing whatever fundraising we need to do as well to add to the sustainability of the operations of the center. So what we really believe about this center is when you bring resources and opportunity to people who are as entrepreneurial and willing to work hard as the people of San Victor, you're going to see amazing things happen in people's lives. And Howard talked a little bit about what's already happened with some of the people there. But this community center will be a central point for the people of that village. It will be a gathering spot. It will be a spot for learning, a place for growing and loving and helping each other. So I want to thank everybody who has played any role in getting us to this point. There's more to come, and we're anxious to get down there again and have an open house, a grand opening for the center. And at some point, we hope to take another mission group to Belize. So be thinking about that. You never know. It might be a good opportunity for you. But thank you for your help so far in this project and into the future. Thank you.